Hello and welcome to the Rev It Up podcast, helping entrepreneurs fill up their tanks, crank up the RPMs, and put the pedal to the metal until they cross that finish line. Hello, I'm Jess Tiffany. Ready, set, go. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Rev It Up podcast. I'm super excited to have Rich Rudzinski with me. Hope I said that right. Founder, CEO, technical strategist, digital transformation leader, speaker. He helps companies launch, transform, and scale with modern technologies. He was born and raised in LA, moved to San Diego to attend UCSD, and fell in love with the culture, climate, and budding tech scene. After graduating, he spent a few years cutting his teeth on growing a digital agency before embarking on his own venture. At age 26, he saw a gap in the digital service industry and started his company to fill the needs for expert digital consulting to support businesses with their technical decisions and challenges. Welcome to the show, Rich.
Hey, Jess. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
All right. Well, first thing, did I say your name right? Because
it was close.
Oh. I usually ask before the show and I forgot. So.
There's a lot of things we're covering.
So how do you say it properly?
Rudzinski.
Rudzinski. Okay. And where do people find you if they want to track you down?
Yeah, I mean, you can check out our company site at tragic.media. Check out our fun website there. And then best place would be on LinkedIn. You can search for, Tragic Rich or Rich Rudzinski is a little bit harder to spell out. So, if you search Tragic Media, you can definitely find me on there.
Perfect. Excellent. So, so you have your company and it's going really well and you've had a lot of growth. Can you tell us kind of how you started? Like what was the first kind of the idea that put you in motion?
Absolutely. I was in the digital space, working as a developer at a growing agency down here in San Diego. And I kind of hit like a growth ceiling there, wasn't really finding the opportunity to kind of get to that next level. And I started looking for other work and really wasn't finding much. And at the same time, I was working on the side as a consultant, just kind of getting some extra money as most people in the digital space do. And my consulting really started to take off. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to shift over to this. That way I can focus on finding a job instead of trying to juggle three things all at once. And when I did that, my consulting really started to take off like even further. And so I was like, well, maybe I don't need to do, find a job. Let's just kind of try out this consulting for a while. And it was like in that I was working with other agencies and I was working with other businesses and I was realizing that there's this kind of big gap in digital services at that time. This was like 12 years ago, 13 years ago. And there's a big gap in digital services where there's a lot of marketing agencies and design agencies and agencies that can help you, look good and grow, but nobody that would really focus on helping you with your technology. So a lot of these agencies, they would staff up for their bigger, more complicated projects by trying to pull in contractors, like myself at the time. And it kind of, didn't always work out smoothly, didn't always have the best, long-term, interest in mind for the client. And I was like, there's something here. So that's when I started Tragic Media, and we really focus as an agency on being just your technical partners and looking out for all of your technical needs, whether it be your website, mobile applications, cloud hosting, and we're starting to grow into IoT services now too. And so we started originally by partnering with other agencies. So we'd be white label through them, help them with all their big projects. We got to work with Pixar and Lego and all these huge names. But then, you're still working through somebody and it's kind of playing telephone and you don't always get to push the client in the right direction because you don't have, that one-to-one interaction. So then we really started building out on our own. We built up the brand, started investing a lot into our inbound marketing and our growth online, especially LinkedIn. And that's where we really started connecting with businesses, growing businesses and startups. And we're just the technical branch of their companies, so whether they're building custom software from the ground up, or they have a bunch of different solutions like a Shopify and a website and cloud hosting, and they need a team just to kind of manage it all. That's where we really kind of found our sweet spot. Okay.
Wow. That's a great way to start. And lots of so the partnership you kind of started with, and then when you started going inbound, what's Oh, I lost my train of thought, but how did you make that transition, getting things going there?
Yeah, the biggest piece of that was really the brand move, because before we were a white label shop, we had a small little logo. For a long time, we just had a splash page as our website, but then we finally built out a website, built out a blog, and started, putting some effort there. But it was really when we took the time to take a big step back and be like, okay, we need to push forward with the brand, and we really need to elevate the brand to a place that we can really attract and connect directly with the client instead of being just like a behind the scenes B2B brand. And so we really invested in the branding. We really invested in our messaging and finding out what is our value proposition and who are we really trying to find as clients. And then we put a lot of effort into building a very modern, cutting edge website to really kind of showcase our capabilities. And at that point, then we were able to really start to connect directly with the end user, because we had case studies up, we had a big blog up and stuff. Before that, it was kind of really minimal, and you really only knew us if you knew us or you got referred over to us. And then, so it wasn't as much emphasis as on that marketing side, on that brand side. So it took a lot of investment. It took a big investment for us to look internally, build ourselves up so that we could hit that next level.
Okay, wow. So when the new clients come to you, do they typically actually even know what they need? I know they have an end mind, but do they have the technical pieces to kind of figure that out?
It depends. We get a wide variety of people. Sometimes we get a CTO of a company, coming to us directly, and they're like, I need, Angular developers, and I need, Python backend, and I need this and that, and then, we see if we're a good fit for that. A lot of times, most of our clients are more on the non-technical end, so they don't really have a technical team, and they need that kind of technical leadership. So oftentimes they just come to us with an idea. And oftentimes in working with us and going through our strategy process, their idea kind of shifts and change to be more focused and value driven, have a little bit more of a marketing edge to it versus trying to solve every problem for everybody, as an example. And then even the ones that come with us, that they're like, I need a, WordPress site or whatever. Like a lot of times after talking to them again, all of our processes are all driven in strategy. So it's really about understanding what's the client trying to achieve now and where they're trying to get in the next, 5 years, and making sure that they're in the right system for that. So our approach versus a lot of other agencies. So a lot of other agencies are verticalized around a solution. So that you want Shopify, you go to a Shopify agency. You want WordPress, you go to a WordPress agency. We're more generalist, so we can, we have experts on the team with Shopify and WordPress and Drupal and Laravel and Angular and React and all these different platforms and frameworks. So we can really figure out what's the right combination for your specific problem that you're trying to solve, because each of these systems is really good at doing one thing. But it might not be, the right thing for you depending on where you're trying to grow.
Okay. Wow. And how do you draw back to the beginning? I know in website they call it wireframing, but how do you kind of break that path down so you can help them figure it out?
Yeah, we start our process with a lot of strategy and conversation with the client. Again, really trying to understand what they're trying to create and what problem they're trying to solve. And then we go into our design phase where we go through wireframing and the user interface design. Being a technical agency, we have some really great designers, but a lot of times we also collaborate with either the client's designers or with another outside design firm, depending on budget and who brought us, how the lead kind of came to us and what their internal capabilities are. But we always kind of do the strategy, you work with either our designers or an outside designer, and then we move that into development. And even during development, we work very closely with design and with the client, because sometimes you can lay everything out in the ideal way, but when you get into the weeds of it, sometimes, systems don't work exactly how you want. So you have to be able to kind of be flexible and be able to, figure out what's the best way to solve this problem to get to the end solution without trying to necessarily force the way that you thought it had to work.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of planning that you guys got to put into that.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. So how did you get these big companies like Pixar and all them to come to you, or how did that work?
So some of the big companies we've worked with through our other agency partners. So there were other agencies that already had relationships with some of these companies, and we came in to fill the technical role of one of their, projects. We've built the Pixar website, the last iteration of it a while ago, many years ago. We've built games for Lego, and those came through those channels. Some of them have come through my network. So we've built some financial applications for Intuit, and those came directly to me through some of my old colleagues that actually worked in Intuit and needed some help and reached out to me because they knew we were specialists with that. And then sometimes we just get them straight in our lead forms. We've gotten some really great, very large clients that, are looking for very specific expertise. Maybe they're looking for, Drupal development. And then they're searching for that in the area and they find us, and they contact us directly. So it's kind of a big mix, but I'd say most of the bigger agencies usually come from, or bigger companies usually come from, like my network or, colleagues of mine that have worked with me in the past or something.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So they found you in referrals and all that. How about IoT? How's that that whole industry is different than the regular stuff? How did you get into that?
That's like a growing area of focus for us. Definitely. We started really getting into it because we started working with a client up here or down here in San Diego that does business intelligence systems. So they have like these really advanced lighting systems that communicate to building software that can manage kind of your whole infrastructure. Even now they're doing some like COVID safety integration. So, it can even like count the number of people that are entering, a certain hallway or that are going into a conference room or anything, so that you can kind of, make sure that you're tracking that or sending cleaning crews, after usage or whatever else it might be. So that was kind of where we started getting into it. And then we have some really exciting opportunities this year. We're co-founding an IoT startup down here. We're working on hopefully closing a project where we're going to be helping design and develop some software for another IoT startup. And then, we just have a lot of, we're starting to build out a division of that in the company so that we can really like kind of hyper focus on that. Because I think that's just a really huge growing area that has a lot of potential over the next couple of years.
Hey everybody, Jess here. What if I could help your company find over $100,000 in hidden revenue streams in less than an hour without spending an extra dime on advertising or marketing? Reach out to me at cardzap.thebumpcard.me. Check out the video on 5 steps to profit and also reach out and we can have a conversation. Thank you.
Okay, wow. Very cool. And Internet of Things, if you're
I guess we should define that.
Yeah, Internet of Things, so like smartwatches and gadgets and all that fun stuff. So tell me, I know you, before we got on the call here, we talked about a little bit about the startup scene, and can you kind of tell us a little bit about the startup scene where you're at and how you got business from it?
Yeah, I love the San Diego startup scene. I've been involved in it from like 10 years ago when there wasn't really a scene and they had like entrepreneur days and all these weird ways trying to like bring the community together. Since then, it's really started to flourish down here. In San Diego, we've got a couple unicorns now that have, grown out of the area. There's a lot more incubators and accelerators. There's a really great organization called Startup San Diego that always puts on different events and helps to build the entrepreneur community down here. So we interact with that in a number of different ways. We sponsor some different organizations. We talk at a number of the different conferences and stuff that come up here, like San Diego Startup Week. I've talked at for the last 2 years, and also worked with like the American Marketing Association the chapter down here to put on different tech talks and help entrepreneurs and marketing people in the area just help to understand new technologies and different things like that. And then, we always go out and we're always like selling and engaging because, like I said before, one of our the customers that we work really well with are non-technical founders that don't have technical co-founders, that don't want to build their own engineering teams, or at least don't want to build them until they get their idea really like, hitting traction. So we can kind of come in, help augment that, help take their idea and make sure that it's really strategized and makes it through the development process smoothly. And they have a really solid enterprise, ready solution that they can then take out and sell and market and grow.
Okay. Wow. That makes me kind of think, what are some of the things you've done to really promote revenue in your company in the last few years?
We have done a number of different things, like in development consulting. It's challenging, and it's been something that I've really been growing our approach to that, over the years, because, originally when I was, first starting out in this, like it was standard for everybody to fix bid every single process. And there's these big discovery processes where you went through every single line of engineering and estimated out every single facet of everything. And that's not how software is built anymore. Software is built iteratively. It's built in an agile process, because you can't know everything up front. It's been proven that doesn't work. So a lot of what I've done to, grow our revenue has been kind of multifaceted. We're definitely working on continuing to grow our brand reach and our marketing and make sure that we can drive in more clients and get our funnels, our pipelines filled up with, some great leads and opportunities. And then it's also been about managing our project spend and overages and making sure that we're not losing money on the clients that we are bringing in. So we've, adapted our process to be a very flexible, agile process where we really scope all of our projects on a range. So we give them like a low high kind of type thing. So we're saying like, hey, if everything goes great, this is probably what we're looking at. And if we run into issues here, and then that way we're able to provide more flexibility within that to make sure that we're achieving the client's goals. We're prioritizing the important things. We can hit that, MVP launch, and we can do so without having to have those difficult conversations of like, oh, we need a change order, or we need to get more budget, because we already have established that it's going to be flexible within this range. Then it's really about just making sure we're delivering something really, really strong under their budget cap. And that's a lot easier than trying to predict everything up front and build in enough padding into your margins to make sure that, across all these different projects, all these different clients, engaging as a service provider, different clients are different. Some of them want to talk to you every day. Some of them have 1,000 pieces of feedback to the design. Some of them are like, great, let's go. So can't really gauge that in until you really get into the process. You understand the client, get in under the hood of the development. So this approach has really helped us to grow our revenue, because we're not taking losses on projects. We're able to be more communicative and better set our clients' expectations.
Okay. Wow. So what happens? This is kind of a weird question, but what happens if you miss a budget?
It's really about, as with anything, it's about tracking and measuring and making sure that we're being communicative and ahead of the game with our clients. So, we never want to be in the place where we're coming to you afterwards and being like, hey, we went crazy over budget. Because that's happened before in the past. We weren't tracking things tight enough. And then all of a sudden you look at the numbers and you're like, wow, that's client's not going to sign off on that, So it's about being up ahead of it. And again, we have a flexible scope. The way that we approach our projects is also with a flexible scope, so that, it's about understanding, okay, we need to get this thing to launch. Do we want to pull off some of these features so that we can get it to launch within your budget? Or do we want to add a little bit of budget so that in a little bit of timeline, so that we can make sure that we launch with all the things you want to launch with? So it's really about an open-ended strategic conversation with our clients and working collaboratively towards that end goal of launching a really solid product.
So communication.
It's huge. It's huge.
Excellent. And what's one epic failure you've gone through and an epic success?
Okay. Let's see. Epic failure would definitely be a couple years ago. I was stuck working too much in the business rather than on the business. I fell deep into a project, and when that project kind of ended a little bit abruptly, the client just all of a sudden decided that they just wanted to finish it internally, because they were just kind of churning in circles with us, because internally they had too many people that wouldn't align on a decision. So it kind of got cut abruptly. And when I came out of that, I had realized that we didn't have any sales going. My sales guy had been having a bunch of issues and maybe didn't communicate that directly to me, or maybe I just wasn't able to do anything about it. I don't remember exactly, but either way, we came up for air and we had nothing in the pipe, and we just fell right on our face. So that was a big learning moment for me, that as a CEO of a growing company, I need to, even though, this was my baby from being my solopreneurship and I used to do all the work, now I can't do that much work because I need to be like keeping the overall operations going. So that was a big learning lesson and a big fail for me, just as a leader. I mean, we've had, a bunch of really epic wins over the years. I think anytime, we launch a new product for our clients and, it goes smoothly and it goes well, it's a big win for us. I think one of our most epic wins has probably been, My Italian Family is one of our oldest clients. We've been working with them for over 10 years. And it's this, cute little Italian couple that, help with all this genealogy research and stuff. And they've really been very ahead of the game with their services, and also very, they've pivoted a lot over the years with all the changing, Ancestry came out and that really took a lot of their business, and they've been able to move and adjust. And so now really their main focus is providing dual citizenship services to help you get citizenship in Italy if you're eligible in the United States. So then you can move there, you can travel there more easily. There's a lot of benefits to that. It's a very complicated e-commerce message and situation. They have a lot of content and their products are not necessarily very straightforward. And over the years, we've really helped them to streamline a really nice flow on their website and a really nice just overall messaging so that people can more easily find all the information they need to figure out if they are eligible, and then more easily, get in contact with My Italian Family when it's time to, talk about, their different services and stuff. So we've continued to engage with them. Sometimes we scale up and do really, really big projects, and sometimes we scale down and do very, very minimal support. And over the years, we've been able to help them grow. And I think they're they've grown over 3-4 times their size. And during the pandemic, they actually got a lot of really great growth because people were all of a sudden very interested in being able to potentially move to Italy or at least get other properties there and stuff. So that's been a really exciting one because it's this small client that we've helped continuously over the years, and we've just helped them from go through all the changes. I mean, before, when we first built their website, responsive wasn't even a thing. There wasn't even a responsive website, so we had to do a big overhaul to make it responsive, and then big overhauls to rework their e-commerce flows. And it's just a continuous iteration, and they're just a really great client. They have their mind in a really great place in terms of having to invest in the growth of their e-commerce site so that they can continue to stay ahead of the curve of their competition.
Oh, awesome. Well, that's great. Yeah, I've had some epic failures myself, and some
part of any business, right?
Yeah. Especially scam people. Have you had a few of those?
What's that?
People scamming you.
I personally don't think I've been scammed, but it's definitely a big. I received something in the mail even the other day that was you owe us $250 for your domain renewal. And I was I didn't renew my domain with you guys.
It was a charge, or I don't know, it's a chargeback thing or something. They paid for services and then they did something funky.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Stolen credit card, basically.
Wow. I thankfully haven't dealt with that, though. There has definitely been invoice collection issues and stuff over the years for sure, Yeah.
Yeah. I can definitely relate. So, so where's I'm going to go back to the beginning, but how can they reach out to you and get a quote or whatever they need to do?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're looking for a quote, you can definitely just go on our website, tragic.media, fill out the contact form. We'll get in touch with you. You can also just reach out to me on LinkedIn, Tragic, look for Tragic Media, Tragic Rich on LinkedIn. You can definitely easily find me. And even if you're not ready to, start a project now, if you just need help, consulting, just thinking about your idea and maybe what are the next steps or something, I'm happy to make some time to connect with, anybody that's a listener that, just wants a little bit of consultation on the technology side, whether it's what, e-commerce solution should I choose, or is it, picking a good CMS for your website, or if you're really looking to build some software, I'd be happy to meet with you and just, talk through it and make sure that you kind of have all your ducks in a row before you start talking to a company like me to make sure that you're, not going to get caught off guard by that.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. I learned a lot. And any last message you have for the audience today?
Just as an entrepreneur, there's a lot of ups, there's a lot of downs. Like you were saying, the journey is not complete without failures. And it's really about, trying to find a lesson and a positive message on every failure and find a way to push yourself forward and always just keep your eyes, moving forward. But always make sure that you're learning from the past.
Oh, that's great. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And hey, everybody, thanks again for listening. And make sure you like, subscribe, share, and all that fun stuff. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, Jess. Love being on.